hours, the outer limit of how long a person can stay alive hanging upside down. You do not feel trapped. You feel yourself being settled by gravity second by second. Every breath comes with a cost. In 2009, John Jones entered that limit. He was not chasing a record. He took the wrong turn. Under the Utah wilderness, there is a cave with a name that sounds like a joke. Nutty Putty Cave. It used to be a training ground for hobby cavers. Then it became a slab of sealed concrete. It is not a cathedral underground. It is a hydrothermal tunnel carved like a wormhole. The walls are clay, slick, soft, and damp. They can feel almost warm. Most caves are cold enough to numb you. Nutty Putty is different. It is humid. It sweats. And when you crawl inside, it stops feeling like rock. It feels like the throat of something alive, closing behind you. That night, John entered with his group. He was looking for the famous squeeze known as the birth canal. It is tight, but it is known. And known routes have one mercy. They let you turn back. John was not a reckless amateur. He grew up around caves. He knew how to turn his shoulders, how to exhale and pass a tight pinch. Outside, his wife was waiting, a baby daughter at home, another child on the way. He had every reason to be careful. But geology does not care about your reasons. He did not find it. He missed it. He slid into another narrow passage near the area people called Ed's Push. It was not a harder route. It was unfinished geometry. The map of this cave is a knot, twists on top of twists. In the dark, a wrong turn does not look like an error. It looks like progress. The tunnel he chose tilted downward. Gravity helped him. It felt easy to slide deeper. But in a tight tube, easy to go down is a warning. It usually means impossible to come back up. In a cave, you make one common assumption. Just a little farther. It has to open up. The cave encourages that mistake, because you never see the whole shape. You see only short segments of rock, like a pipe that never ends. Then you move 1 inch more, and that inch deletes the rest of your options. Do a short test. Press your chin toward your chest. You feel it immediately. Your breathing gets shallow, and this is only 10 seconds. The real problem is you cannot lift your head again. Now imagine holding that posture for 10 hours. Head down, an angle close to 70 or 80 degrees. You are not lying down. You are suspended inside a slanted crack. The longer you stay still, the more permanent it feels. That is how John went in. At the narrowest point, it was about 10 by 18 inches, and it was not a straight corridor. It bent like an L-shaped wedge. The meaning of the bend is simple. You cannot see the exit. He believed the passage would widen ahead, so he did the most common and most dangerous cave move. He exhaled. He emptied his lungs to flatten his chest, and he slid forward. That second is quiet. Quiet is often the sound a trap makes when it closes. Once you do it, it is hard to undo, because the next inhale expands your ribcage, and the rock answers by gripping you. The breath you needed becomes the lock. Think of it as a mechanical check valve. It only permits motion in one direction, down. The walls were not smooth. They were studded with friction knots and small ridges, like inward-pointing teeth. Each time he exhaled to relax, gravity stole another millimeter. He was being swallowed, slowly, by the earth itself. You think it is your chest that is stuck. What is truly stuck is your ability to move. You try to rotate your shoulders. You try to reposition your hands. You try to push back with your legs. But the space permits only one thing. Keep forcing in one direction, and the cave only has to wait for you to force the wrong way once. Now feel gravity. Upside down, blood is pushed toward your head. Your eyes begin to swell and redden. Your temples throb like a drumbeat. Your face fills with pressure. Your ears carry a dull weight. You start to gag, but you do not have the room to vomit. And this is not the worst part. The worst part is the lungs. Your lungs are not only limited by rock, they are crushed by your organs, inverted by gravity. Every inhale feels like lifting your own liver and stomach. You are not breathing. You are hauling yourself. The hook in that tunnel kept his legs from helping. His feet were striking the ceiling of a small cavity above him. Pushing up only drove his chest harder into the floor. It was a perfect trap, a geometry built to turn a man's own strength against him. The more he kicked, the tighter the wedge became. And you suddenly realize the truth. The harder you fight, the less air you get. At that moment, the cave does not need a collapse. It only needs to stay exactly as it is. Geometry alone is enough to kill, and geometry never softens. They arrived after the call. The scene became an engineering site. More people came, not because more people is faster, but because every motion requires rotation. In a cave like this, the first thing to fail is the rescuer. The rescue must first survive the cave. The plan was simple: a pulley system. Pull him out by force. The problem is where the force has to happen. This is not dragging someone across ground. This is moving a 190-pound adult through a crack that fits a hand. And he is inverted. Inversion turns time into an enemy. They loaded the system in increments. The rope tightened. The rock amplified every sound. Rope on stone rasped like a saw. Metal hardware clicked like a counter. Voices in the fissure sounded flattened underwater. One rescuer, Ryan, was the only one who could get close to John. He was upside down too, working in a space so tight he could barely move his arms. He wasn't just drilling anchors, he was holding John's fear. At one point, John apologized to him. He said, "I'm sorry I'm so fat." A small sentence, and suddenly the cave felt like a room with a real person inside it. Ryan told him, "We're going to get you out." And for a while, they both believed it. What you hear is not language. It is oxygen being reduced. Down there, John could feel a small shift, a few centimeters of freedom. His chest pressure eased for a moment. He could smell slightly drier air. In a cave, that can be misread as the end being close. But almost done is the sentence that makes people relax. They did move him a little, only a little, but it was enough to introduce something dangerous. Hope. Hope makes you ignore structure. Then the system failed. You do not get time to understand why. you only get the result. Nothing in the cave sounded like a human bone. This was not a body breaking. This was the load path breaking. An anchor, a rock feature, a connector. The stone in Nutty Putty is treacherous. It can feel solid, but much of it is brittle clay. When the pulley system pulled with hundreds of pounds of force, the rock simply gave up. It burst into dust. The metal carabiner turned into a projectile. It struck Ryan in the face. He went unconscious instantly. When he woke up, the rope was loose, and John was gone, slid back into the silence. You do not need to know which one. You only need to know what happened next. The rope went slack, and the rope stopped meaning up. John slid back, deeper, tighter, not to the old position, to a worse angle. When the angle changes, the method expires. After that, every attempt became harder, because the geometry had changed. You are not pulling a man out of a crack. You are trying to unwedge a body from stone against friction. Friction does not suddenly forgive. It bites harder after every failed movement, and you begin to hear it. Every pull that fails trades for a deeper lock. Time upside down kept stacking. The pressure in his head rose. His breathing grew shallower. His heart had to keep pumping blood through an inverted body. It became a longer and longer effort. This is not endurance. This is overdraft. Eventually, the limit arrived. After roughly 27 hours, his heart stopped. There was no dramatic final line. There was only less sound, longer gaps between breaths, and then silence. Silence is not peace. Silence is the system stopping. After the rescue, another reality remained. To recover the body intact, the rock would have to be broken. But the fissure was too fragile. Hammering, drilling, widening. Any of it could trigger a new collapse, a new victim. So a decision was made. The cave would be sealed permanently. They did not simply block the hole. They used explosives. They collapsed the ceiling near the birth canal, burying the body under tons of rock. Then they filled the entrance shaft. It was a funeral performed with heavy machinery. The concrete plug ensures no one will ever stumble onto him again, or join him. Concrete was poured. The entrance was filled flat. Nutty Putty Cave stopped being a place to visit. It became a sealed tomb. Picture the surface today. The entrance is just a level slab. People can walk over it and never notice. Time moves differently down there. On the surface, years pass. Seasons change. Children grow up. But in Ed's push, the humidity is constant. The temperature is constant. The darkness is absolute. It is a time capsule that will never be opened, a permanent freeze frame of a tragedy. But beneath that concrete, a few hundred feet down, the dark remains. John is still there, still inverted, the posture unchanged, because the cave never changed. The cave does not remember your name. It does not praise courage. It does not mock mistakes. It offers three things: gravity, friction, and air that runs out. In a place like that, survival is not a reward. It is simply the result of the math working in your favor.